Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we are going to talk to David about his recovery from COVID-19 and how that's going, and check in with him on the latest on that front, how his off season is going. Also, the latest NASCAR news and notes, and we'll have our Ask David segment, our first official off-season show that we will be bringing to you here on Let's Go Racing. And as always, we are presented by our friends at Whataburger. Don't forget that every Whataburger is made fresh, served hot, and prepared just like you like it. Want jalapenos and cheese on that? No problem. They've got you covered. Whataburger, proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. David Starr joins us right now. David, it is Thanksgiving week, and I am thankful that you are feeling better, my friend. Welcome back. How we doing?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Yeah, glad to see you guys and to be on our podcast. And been a busy day today for me, but man, I'm just I'm feeling a lot better and looking forward to talking with you guys.
No doubt. Dominic Argon from the RacingExperts.com is here as well. Dom, happy Thanksgiving. How are we feeling?
Happy Thanksgiving back at you, Tyler. Awesome to have some time off here to spend with family and friends here in New Mexico. And yeah, David, glad to hear you're sounding better and you're looking a lot better.
So, David, let's start there. Address the elephant in the room. You get diagnosed with COVID-19. We hear Carl break the news on Sirius XM within the week of the Phoenix race. Tell me about what exactly went down. I remember when we taped this show the Tuesday after the final race, you weren't feeling great, and then everything kind of went from there. Tell us about those days that led up to you testing positive and all.
Well, man, the cool thing is I feel great today. The bad part about it was, I got COVID while we were in Phoenix, while we were racing there. I didn't realize that a couple of guys on our team, our MB team, wasn't feeling good, I guess, Friday afternoon into Saturday. And from what I learned from Carl, we had such a busy weekend there at Phoenix, and we celebrated a lot together by high-fiving each other and hugging each other, and not knowing that a couple of guys obviously had COVID there. And then when I got back to Texas here, I got back on a Monday evening, and I worked at our race shop on Tuesday, and we had our podcast that Tuesday night, and man, I was feeling not very good that evening when we did our last podcast, and woke up Wednesday morning with a bad case of the flu, which the flu turned into obviously having COVID. But man, that was I don't wish that on anybody. For me personally, it was just having the worst flu you could. Your high temperature, achy, very achy, no energy, lost my taste, lost my sense of smell. And, but, fortunately, I was able to recover in about 6-7 days. But man, it was, it felt just horrible as I was going through it. Laying in bed for 4 or 5 days was not fun. I can't stand laying in bed for that period of time. But man, it was just a bad case of the flu, to be honest with you. And I'm so thankful and blessed I have recovered. And I don't want to ever have to go through that. And I wish nobody else has to either. It's not fun for anybody, but a lot of people go through it, and some people get through it with like no symptoms or not even sick. Others people have to deal with having just the worst flu, temperature. I mean, just feeling horrible. Some people had to go to the hospital. Unfortunately, after that, man, we've all heard and known somebody who's lost their life from COVID, man. So it's nothing to play with, and I'm very thankful and blessed that I got in it and got past it, no doubt.
Well, and David, the thing that stands out to me about you getting this is you're 54 years old, you You work out every day. You're in great shape. Obviously, you're a professional athlete and such, and yet here you were bedridden 6, 7 days. If there's anything that we can take away from your experience and, to the folks out there, is this can happen to anybody. You can be in good health and still get hit by this and go through all the effects and all the symptoms of it. I mean, this virus knows no bounds.
No, it doesn't discriminate, that's for sure. And, to be honest with you, I really thought I was immune to it, you know what I mean? Because obviously when the world shut down, the United States, our sport back March 2020, I would say I was careless with it. I didn't take it that serious, and I was still flying here, flying there, visiting with people. And I like to shake people's hands. I hug people. I'm a very personal person. I don't know. I'm just, I like to shake people's hands and hug people. It's just the way I was. I don't know. that's who I am, and it wasn't until about 4 or 5 months into the the COVID situation, that I realized I had a friend of mine that passed away from it, man, and it hit at home pretty hard. And it's somebody that I knew that was healthy, young man, passed away from COVID. Hell, I started really paying attention and trying to educate myself on it, wearing a mask and be more conscious of other people around me and myself and my family, So, but anyway, I really, even though that happened, and I was a lot more aware of COVID and how you contracted it, and mask, and trying to not be in large crowds, I still was around a lot of people, and I was never sick for about 3.5 years, and I really thought in my mind that I was never ever going to get COVID, you know what I mean? So coming, getting home from our last race of the year and feeling awful and getting the flu and learning the flu was COVID, man, it can happen to anybody, you know what I mean? And obviously I think I take care of myself. I really think I'm pretty healthy. I exercise a lot. I try to be as clean and as healthy as a person as I can possibly be. But man, it's just getting COVID is, I can assure you that it's not fun. And man, I felt like at times when you're laying in bed, it's like, man, it's just the you can't feel any worse, the only blessing of it is I'd never had to go to the hospital, you know what I mean? It wasn't like I was having breathing problems. I could breathe fine and everything, but I just felt horrible, but my breathing was good. So, kind of in my head, I knew that, that I wasn't coughing and wasn't having trouble breathing, anything like that, just felt, how you guys how we all get the flu, we feel horrible. That's just what it felt like to me, but don't wish that on anybody. It wasn't fun at all.
Well, and David, when you look back on your COVID diagnosis and recovering, I mean, what was the lowest point, or was there a low point on that entire stretch of being sick and having COVID-19?
Man, I guess, when you're quarantined in a room upstairs, and the toughest part to me is missing my wife and my boys. You know what I mean? They didn't even want to see me. You know what I mean? They, so I was quarantined to a spare bedroom upstairs, and
I've stayed in that room a couple times.
Absolutely, you have, and they knock on the door, and if you can get enough energy to get out of bed to grab your food or the drugs you're taking. I was on a schedule with medicine, and but not being able to touch my wife or my boys, I think that was the toughest part, man. You know what I mean? Just missing my family, and they were just in the same house, but they you didn't want to get anybody else sick. You didn't, so I was okay with that. But I guess if there was a point where it's like, man, I hate this, was not being able to hug my family. And then times where you're laying in bed and you just feel so bad, your body's aching and you curled up and you can't really do anything. You know what I mean? You almost have to make yourself move I mean, sometimes when, I was like, man, I want to take a shower, brush my teeth, I had to talk myself into it. I mean, that's how much energy I didn't have, so, but anyway, none of it, from what experience I've been through it, none of it's any fun. And I hope you guys or anybody else we know never gets it.
Well, and the thing that I'm fortunate, not only for you that you're okay and everything, but that if you were going to get it, at least it happened after the season. I mean, could you imagine, David, if this would have gone down a week prior and if you would have missed the championship race at Phoenix or any of that? I mean, if it was going to happen, at least it was after the season ended.
Well, I mean, I just think about my guys on the team that got sick and Carl Long, my team owner, that got really sick like I did. You can't operate a racing team without your team, your crew members, and just thinking how sick Carl was and how sick I was. I mean, from one weekend to the next, we never could have recovered from. And man, you guys know I got a lot of energy. You know what I mean? And I got to burn that energy off during the day, whether I'm at the racetrack or I'm back here in Dallas, Texas, where I live. I just got a lot of energy. I do a lot of things, and I just today, I feel like that I'm about 90% recovered energy wise, but I still don't feel like I have 100% of my energy back. And I'm not real sure to listen to you talk, Tyler, that, if we'd have got COVID prior to Phoenix, I may not have raced the last race, the Xfinity race or the Cup race. And man, that would have hurt me worse than having COVID. You know what I mean? I mean, but anyway, I guess if we were going to get sick, the timing of everything was pretty spot on. But man, no matter what the timing is, nobody wants to get COVID. I surely didn't. I don't want any of my family to get COVID. I don't want you guys, your family. No, I wish, obviously the whole world's gotten it or has gone through COVID some shape, form, or, somebody in their family, but man, I just don't wish that on anybody. It's not, it doesn't feel good. And it's awful.
Yeah. Well, and we always talk about the trickle down effects of COVID, of, what it does and such. And Dominic, I mean, even in your case, I mean, you found yourself having to quarantine after being out there in Phoenix too.
I did. Yes. I mean, fortunately, I had to get tested, but came back negative, no problem on that. But yeah, I did quarantine there for a few days up in Santa Fe. So was out of work for a few days, but that's okay. It's better to err on the side of safety in a situation like this. And I'll never fault anybody for wanting to take a preemptive measure or a precautionary measure. And that's what happened out here. But yeah, no harm, no foul. But yeah, I mean, I know others weren't as fortunate as that. And some did get COVID, but I mean, from the sound of it, sounds like people have recovered, especially the people we were in contact with over the last few weeks. And there was a case in the media center as well with one of our NASCAR Media Corps reporters as well. But yeah, you just never know with COVID-19. It's a very, very strange situation and you never know what to expect. But again, you can't fault anybody for wanting to take precautionary measures.
Right. And, I look at all this too, this is all a reminder of, we're still in this pandemic, although the numbers have dropped off, what they were and such, that, we're still going through this and, people are still being affected, their lives and such. But, also on the front of the sport and such, I mean, guys, I know, David and, some of the team from MBM, did end up getting it. But Dominic, we're just not talking about, COVID nearly as much affecting this sport when we see, that correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think any driver missed a race this year from COVID compared to last year when you had Jimmy Johnson, Austin Dillon, just to name a few. I mean, the way that the sport has handled it from, we talked about it with Matt Humphrey a few weeks back, winning, sport of the year from Sports Business Journal and such. I mean, this sport, credit to NASCAR, they've done a really good job of managing these circumstances all the way back to March of last year, of the hand that they've been dealt.
The only one I can think of, Tyler, offhand, and I want to say it was in May, and it was a COVID precautionary measure, was Justin Haley missing the Xfinity and the Cup Series race, but he got the waiver and went off without a hitch. And Josh Berry filled in the Cup race, if I remember correctly, for him. But outside of that, you're right. There wasn't a big shutdown. There weren't a lot of drivers missing races. Yeah, NASCAR took it as serious as they could. And again, the precautionary measures paid off.
Yeah, I think so. David, before we move on and get to a lot of news and notes that are happening in the NASCAR world, just any final thoughts or any message that you want to pass along to the folks? I know there was a lot of people that reached out to you and were praying for you. I know my family, we had you, we were praying for you and such for your recovery. Anything you want to pass along with folks that were just thinking of you here the last week or so?
Man, I mean, the people that reached out and text and called and all that, man, it just a lot of love out there. You know what I mean? You just to have great friends. You just really realize how many great friends you got out there till you get sick or somebody sends you, they're praying for you or get well soon. Just amazing, it's amazing. And it's amazing to me. I didn't even know that anybody knew I was sick. My phone, people were texting and calling, and I'm like, man, how do people even know I'm sick? You know what I mean? And somebody said, hey, man, I heard you got COVID. So how'd you hear I got COVID? I sure didn't tell anybody, just my wife, and then somebody said, well, Carl Long was on the radio telling the whole racing community that, all the team members and myself and him, we got COVID. So I was wondering, like, man, how does everybody know that I'm sick? You know what I mean? So it was my great friend and my team owner, Carl Long, who told everybody. But anyway, man, just thank you to all the fans and my friends and everybody that sent me great messages to get well soon and prayers and all that. If somebody's praying for you, man, it don't get much better than that, dude.
That's for sure. So with that, David, it feels like now the off season actually begins for you. You went from Phoenix to having COVID and being at home. So now that that's out of the way, what is on tap for you now over these next few weeks as we celebrate Thanksgiving this week, holiday season, of course, coming up? Lay it out there for the folks at home. What's going on in your world as we're about 75 days away from the Clash there in Los Angeles?
Well, the reality of it is, man, I've been working in my yard, planting flowers and putting new mulch down and getting all the acorns and the leaves out of my yard and hanging up Christmas lights and man, getting ready for Thanksgiving, spending some time catching up, being a dad. That's super important. Obviously getting sick and getting COVID, and when I finally tested negative and had to wait a while to be able to see my family, I finally got to see them, spend as much time, as I could with them. And, excited, man, I love Thanksgiving. I love the Christmas time. I love the meaning of Christmas and just getting together with our loved ones for Thanksgiving, giving thanks to our family and just God and just all that is just, I love that for everybody, but man, the truth of the matter is I just got back from a sponsor meeting this evening and, and as much as I try to enjoy the holidays with my family and catch up being a husband and a dad, I can assure you that the stress level, trying to make sure that our great partners, all of our wonderful, wonderful sponsors will hopefully come back and race with us again in 2022, and trying to line up who, hopefully 100% of them will come back and we can bring in some new ones. And that's really during the holidays, a happy, cheerful time of season. I had to deal with that stress, but man, we've been working on it, and worked on it this evening, and we'll work on it a little bit in the morning, and then after Thanksgiving, get right back to it. But man, want to make sure that we're going to be racing strong in 2022, and make sure all our wonderful, lovely partners will come back and race with us. So, as much as I try to enjoy the holidays, that weighs heavy on my mind, and making sure we can get all that accomplished so we can figure out how we're going to race and what we're going to race in 2022.
Yeah, sounds like it. Certainly going to be an interesting, several weeks ahead. And when we have stuff to announce, you'll be the first to hear it on Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Let's go ahead and get to our news and notes segment in just one moment. Just a reminder to the folks at Whataburger, cook up 100% pure beef burgers 24 hours a day. You can get your burger fix anytime, day or night at Whataburger. Proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. Whataburger. Dominic, a lot to get to on the news and notes front, and probably the biggest of those, correct me if I'm wrong, if this is even not the biggest of those, is the practice and qualifying format for 2022 has been released, and it's a little complicated, actually.
It's a little complicated, Tyler. I'm still trying to figure it out myself, if I'm being 100% honest with you. But NASCAR did announce earlier this week, I believe on November 21st, qualifying is returning to all, or at least the Cup Series, all 36 events in 2022.
All three series.
All three series. Great. So there's going to be 15-minute practices, the ovals, and there'll be a final round of Group A and Group B qualifying session when it comes to those races at those racetracks. 2 rounds at the super speedways, single car runs, and then a Group A and Group B qualifying format on the road courses as well. And then the Bristol dirt track, there's the Bristol dirt race, rather, they're going to be doing like a first chance, second chance, third chance, and fourth chance qualifier session. A lot to unpack with it, but hey, we're getting pole winner awards back out in 2022, all 36 races.
David, what do you make of this return to a practice and qualifying full time in 2022?
Man, Dominic, Tyler, to be honest with you, I knew that news had come out about qualifying and practicing, and kind of like what y'all are saying, it's complicated, and I haven't really wrapped my head around understanding how it's all going to work. I got fish to fry before I have to worry about that. I'm excited for the fans to know that, there's a lot of fans that come 2 or 3 days early to a racetrack to see practice and to see qualifying. You know what I mean? And man, I love to practice and I like to qualify myself. And I think it's all exciting. It's not your traditional, 2 hours of practice and you come in the next day or that evening and you qualify. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's come back way different from what we know of qualifying and practice in the past. I just hadn't had a chance to understand it. I was just listening to Dominic explain it, and I still, just what little I've heard about it and hearing Dominic talk about it, I still don't understand it, how the format's going to be laid out. Obviously, it's different from a road course, different from a super speedway to your traditional 1.5 miles to a short track. But the cool part about it is there's going to be practice. There is going to be qualifying. I heard, I guess, last chance races. And for me, that's exciting, but to understand all of it right now, I can assure you that I'm a little bit confused by it, and I'm sure I'll learn and understand it over time. Before we get to Daytona, I'll completely understand it, but right now it's still a little confusing, to say the least.
Well, and Dominic, what I took away from it, and like we said, we're still trying to figure all this out, but it seems like that these practice and qualifying sessions are going to be made for TV events. In the past, you turn on practice and that's background noise. You have it on while you're, drinking coffee or getting other work done and such. This is to be more geared toward what we've seen in F1, where people make a point to try to have appointment viewing for qualifying practice and qualifying sessions and such. Like the way that this is formatted, it's all together. I mean, you're going to get it in one TV setting here.
Absolutely. Maybe it's more on an efficiency side, but you're right. I think the TV partners do have a big hand in this as well. I mean, to be honest, the TV partners do fork over a lot of money for NASCAR television rights. And I'm sure they had a big hand in having the format the way it's going to be in 2022. It does seem like a made for TV event. I thought about it like that, but that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys. I mean, what do you mean? I mean, I guess I don't understand how you're explaining it. You're going to have practice and qualifying in the same show on television. I mean, can you explain that a little bit better, Tyler? I guess I'm a little bit
so like,
lost.
Okay, here's an example. So you have some of the tracks, just a 15-minute practice session. And then qualifying is going to be right afterwards. It's going to be bang, bang. And basically going to be held back to back. And so the TV networks, in theory, okay, let's, looking at a TV situation. Normally you would have what we called, Dominic, Fast Friday, right? Okay, here's a practice session. Now here's a qualifying session. Now here's another series and their practice session. Now we're going to go to this qualifying session. And all three different series would be spread out throughout the day with practice and qualifying sessions. Well, now what we're going to do is, okay, from let's say 3 o'clock Eastern time to 4:30 is practice for Cup and qualifying back-to-back. And in that 90-minute window, here it all is right here, right now on FS1 or on CNBC, USA Network, you name it, whatever. So for that time period, here is your practice, here's your qualifying, and you're going to watch it on TV all at once. It is a made-for-TV thing. Am I describing that right here, Dominic?
I would say so, yeah, because you're right. When it used to be in the past, when you have 3-day shows, especially if 2 series were at the same track, practice and then qualifying and then another series. I see what you're talking about on that. At least this way, it's all packaged up, for lack of a better term, into like a nice 90-minute TV format for the TV partners. It is certainly tailored and geared for the viewer at home and with the TV networks in mind.
Yeah, that's how I would describe it. And we'll see ultimately how it plays out. But the other part of this too, David, when you have a brand new car like this, I know that we've seen great racing the last 2 years without practice and qualifying. Brand new car out there. NASCAR didn't have a choice but to bring back practice and qualifying with this new car. These drivers need the seat time.
Man, I'm just listening to you speak, and man, I mean, I'm 15 minutes. Did you say 15-minute practice? Hell, that's nothing. You know what I mean? I mean, 15 minutes. I mean, are you serious? I mean, practice is only going to be 15 minutes?
At some tracks, yes.
I'm just sitting here listening to you speak. Again, I have not wrapped my head around the format of everything, but wow. I mean, that's not much of a practice, you know what I mean? And
I might be in the bathroom sometimes longer than 15 minutes.
No doubt. I mean, 15 minutes when you're making a couple of lap runs and making a change or something. Hell, I mean, that's only you're going to make 3 laps and try to come in and make a chassis adjustment and get back out and make 3 more laps. Hell, you're going to be out of 50. You're going to be out of practice time. You know what I mean? So, obviously there's a lot to wrap my head around. I still don't understand, but 15 minutes, wow. And then, the new car for the Cup Series, obviously they had a 2-day test last week in Charlotte. I have not spoken to a lot of people about it, but yeah, it's interesting. And I think NASCAR needed to have a practice session for everybody, especially on the Cup side. But man, 15 minutes, I mean, I don't even know if I call that a practice session. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair to say.
Mhm.
Dominic, what else we got?
So some other NASCAR news and notes, headlines. Celebrating a wedding over the weekend. Actually, three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion Tony Stewart and his fiancée Leah Pruitt married over the weekend in Cabo San Lucas. Video was posted to Instagram by Marco Andretti, and the two finally tied the knot. Stewart is 50 and Leah is 33.
Yeah, nice work from Tony. Big congrats to the happy couple. Leah, of course, running NHRA next year. Going to be running for the newly formed Tony Stewart Racing. So how about that there, David? Big congrats to Tony and Leah. I know that you've always been a big fan of Tony, and this is a long time coming. We've been giving him a hard time. He's been hanging out with that monkey. About time that he actually got a real partner.
Well, I mean, he man, he's always just been such a cool dude and a good friend, and obviously a hell of a competitor. I consider one of the all-time best. But it's over the years, and you guys have heard it too. A lot of people give him a hard time because he's never really settled down. He's had a lot of different girlfriends and such. But hey, there's no. I would never give him a hard time because to each their own. Everybody. Some people want to get married young. Some want to get married later. I mean, there's no. Everybody's different on how they view that. And obviously Tony's been really busy racing over all these years, but I can, just like you guys and everybody else, I mean, Leah, man, she stopped him in his foot tracks. That's for sure. All I was just hearing was how in love Tony was. And, you'd see some social media posts and man, he fell hard for her, you know what I mean? And from what I've heard and what little I've seen, I mean, he was truly fell for Leah, and man, I'm happy for him and for them to come together in marriage and to marry each other. I mean, congratulations to Tony, and as much as everybody gave him a hard time for never being married for all these years and not finding that right person, I think patience for him worked out. I feel like he married the perfect partner. Both of them did, and they both love motorsports. And man, good for Tony, man. I'm excited for him, and for that chapter of his life. And it's kind of fun to share a cool life that Tony Stewart has. I mean, for me personally, and get married and sharing my racing and my whole life with my wife is just there's nothing greater than that. And I'm happy for Tony and Leah, man. That's pretty cool.
Any marriage advice for Tony?
Man, I'm not one to give any advice on that. You know what I mean? It's hey, we all do the best we can. Happy wife, happy life. You know what I mean? But I'm not real sure if you ask my wife if it's always been 110% happy wife, happy life. You know what I mean? But hey, we just do the best we can do. I mean, I don't know if there's any perfect situation out there, but it's I'm blessed to have the wife I have and the family I have, and there's nothing more. That's everything. That's why I work. That's why we do. To share that with your family, and it don't get any better than that. You know what I mean? But giving marital advice, I don't think I'm the right person for that.
Well, Dominic, you and I definitely aren't.
We're not qualified to give that. No.
I hear you.
Oh, congrats again to Tony and Lee on that front. Dominic, what else?
And some big penalties in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, including one driver suspended indefinitely for violating the NASCAR substance abuse policy, and another owner driver penalized 75 points for the 2022 season, and the season hasn't even started. We'll start with the first one. Cesar Baccarella was indefinitely suspended by NASCAR after NASCAR announced on Monday that he had violated the substance abuse policy. To support the team, Alpha Prime Racing, that he's slated to go racing with in 2022, released a statement saying that he had unknowingly taken a workout supplement that was on the banned substance list, but has already enrolled in the NASCAR Road to Recovery program. And Mike Harmon and his team, Mike Harmon Racing, received a 75-point penalty after the 74 car was run at an exhibition charity event at Rockingham Speedway. As you may or may not be aware, NASCAR has the rule in place where teams are not allowed to test at any facility for whatever reason, unless it is a NASCAR sanctioned or a Goodyear sanctioned approved test. This was not one of those events. Mike Harmon Racing and Mike Harmon are appealing the penalty.
David, the Mike Harmon one, to me, that one, I feel bad for Harmon because he was driving a Dodge, which isn't even in the sport anymore. And it was a charity event. I mean, like, my goodness, did he really need to get fined and suspended for that? I mean, like, come on.
Well, let me say something before David interjects. They did take 2 cars to the session. They did run the Dodge Challenger, but there was also, from what I was told, the second vehicle that was on the track was also raced in the Xfinity Series this year. There were 2 vehicles on the track.
Okay. Well, maybe that second one makes a little more sense. But for a Dodge out there, when was the last time we ran a Dodge?
2018. Who's counting?
Hey man, Harmon's been doing this a long time. It's hard to comment on it because I don't really know all the details behind it. It was really nice of Mike Harmon to raise money for whatever charity that they were raising money for. I mean, that's pretty being generous, and Harmon's a great guy. Obviously they were raising money for a charity, and I don't know the situation. And that's a wonderful thing. Unfortunately, that NASCAR's testing policy is pretty strict, and even though it was just a charity event, they were probably charity for. I don't know enough about it to really comment on it, but Harmon's been doing this a long time. I'm sure if there was any questions about it, whether it was legal or not, that he would have probably gotten in touch with NASCAR. But man, I can, I guess from you can view it from different angles. He was just doing just a really raising money for a charity, which is a blessing. Somebody would take all their race cars, equipment, and whatever, and do that. But that NASCAR has a racing testing policy, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's a tough one, man. I don't know enough about it. It's just a shame. I hope NASCAR and Mike Harmon, I hope they can talk it out and figure something out. I feel bad for Mike Harmon to start the season off with a big deficit. And Dominic, you said how many points did he lose?
75 points, and the most points you can make up in one race is 60.
I mean, that's a lot of points to start off the year. You go to Daytona and, I don't know where Mike's cars are in points, but man, that's a big deal. And then the financial side of it, what was the fine, Dominic?
$50,000 to the crew chief.
I mean, $50,000 for Mike Harmon Racing. I mean, Mike's got competitive cars, and he's a big part of the NASCAR Xfinity Series, but I don't know if there's any team out there that's comfortable giving up a fine of $50,000. That's a big hit for a smaller team like Mike Harmon's, So anyway, it's hard to comment on it. I feel bad for Mike because he was doing something that was it was just it's cool that our whole racing community, team owners, drivers, everybody involved, we have all the charities that we're involved in and try to raise money for different organizations and different charities. It's just unfortunate the way they went about it may not fit the NASCAR policy, and hopefully they can work this out. Mike can appeal it. The NASCAR sanctioning body will hear. Hopefully they can come up with some type of solution where the fine is not as big and he won't lose all those points. But I just feel bad for the whole situation because Mike Harmon's a great guy. He's got a great little team, and no team really can afford $50,000. for a penalty like that and a fine like that. And hopefully they can come through this appeals process so they can come up with a solution that benefits everybody.
Yeah, hopefully so. And Dominic, it really brings up a whole nother discussion too about the testing format. We haven't seen NASCAR allow testing in a long time, and it used to be a huge part of this sport. And when the recession hit back in 2008, I think that's when they really started to cut back and such. What do you think, Dominic? What about the idea of having more test sessions again? Do you think that's a route NASCAR should look into?
Maybe so. And I remember drivers at Phoenix telling us in their little media slums that this was going to be like the busiest offseason in recent memory because there was next gen tests. And that was something that was going to be keeping a lot of the drivers and teams busy over the 2021 to 2022 offseason. But Tyler, I remember a time, granted, I was a kid, 10, 11, 12 years old and a fan of the sport at that time, not covering it, but seeing on NASCAR.com, going on jski.com, seeing these preseason Daytona Thunder tests in January, Las Vegas.
Oh, they were airing them in prime time on Speed.
Absolutely, yeah. So I do miss that, and I get why NASCAR cut it back over the years to help save teams money. But I don't know. I don't know what the right balance is with that. But I mean, you look at a team like Mike Harmon Racing, right? No matter what happened, whether they are found guilty or innocent and the penalty is upheld or it's repealed, $50,000 is a lot of money to you, to me, to David. But especially to a small team like that, where they're not running on millions and millions of dollars every year like a powerhouse organization is, they're going to feel that a lot more. And I can see why they're appealing the penalty as well. But gosh, that's a lot of money to anybody, but especially to a small team like that. That's a lot.
David, what do you think about the whole idea of testing? We mentioned Tony Stewart earlier. He was a guy that never liked to do testing. He was always finding himself at the Chili Bowl or any sprint car races and tried to avoid testing in January. What say you? Would you like to see NASCAR allow more testing again?
Man, for me, I mean, if testing was fun, I mean, when we tested a lot in the off season, I was with the team that had the funding, the budgets behind them. You could go test and try different things. And anytime any race car driver is making laps in a race car, I feel like it's making you a better driver. The feel you want to feel, educating yourself, trying different setups, just educating the engineers, the crew chief, the drivers on what works, different theories that your engineers come up with to test it and see if it works, but I love testing. I loved it personally. I love running laps and learning something to see what changes we're making, whether we're making the race car better or worse. I loved it. I love every aspect of it. But when NASCAR banned testing, I understood it because, I was with, and then when they banned, I was with teams that we didn't have a big budget. And there was a lot of teams we competed with could test all winter long and really gain a valuable advantage. And compared to the racing teams that didn't have the budget and couldn't go test, you know what I mean? So I love both sides of it, depending on what side you're on. If you're driving for a team and you got a big powerhouse budget, or you got a good budget and you can afford to go test and to make your racing team and your race cars better, I'm all for that. But being on the other side of it, where your budget's not that big, you don't have the resources or the funding to be able to go test, and then the bigger teams test and that much more better. So I kind of like the testing policy. It kind of keeps the competition equal. Nobody can go test. And whether you got millions and millions of dollars that you could go test, or you're with the team that doesn't have really any budget to be able to test, I think it kind of keeps the competition closer to each other, not having testing. But I'm a driver that loved it when it was in place, and I was with teams that could afford to do it. There's a lot of benefit there, but anyway, I see both sides of it. And I'm still okay with the testing policy that we do have for the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. There is no testing policy. We can't go to any track in the country and test, and I'm good with that. And I think talking about the Cup side with this new car coming out in 2022, I think there'll be a lot more testing in the off season, obviously, that we've seen in years past because of this new car. They're trying to get it where it drives better, where the teams understand it. I mean, any kind of setup or anything that we've had in 2021, I think anything, you can throw it out the window. I'm talking about you're starting from scratch, zero. There's no notes, there's no anything. So I think all the teams are pretty equal with setups and everything because it's completely different from anything that we've used setup wise or anything. I don't think there's no parts and pieces on the race car that we use this year that we can use in 2022. So anything that happened in 2021, I think there's not any aspects of it that you can take into 2022. So I think the testing that NASCAR is going to have or allow for the Cup side is critical to the racing season for next year.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and it's a very good point. We will get to our Ask David segment in just one moment. Before we do, stop by Whataburger for a hot, hearty breakfast any morning or late at night. They're serving up breakfast from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Proud to serve hot and fresh 24 hours a day. Whataburger. We ask each week here on Let's Go Racing to send us questions, which you can address on email, davidstarpodcast@gmail.com, Facebook, David Starr Podcast, or on Twitter @StarPodcast. And let's go ahead and start with the email inbox. The first question, this comes from Leon. Leon wants to know, David, what is your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Oh, man, all of it. But my favorite, no, I mean, I love to eat, man, the pumpkin pie and turkey and dressing. And, you know, my growing up as a kid, my dad's side of the family, the Starr side of the family, but you know, my dad and my Uncle Mike, you know, they're two boys out of 9 children. The rest were my aunts, you know, and all my cousins. And man, it was such a big feast with such a huge family. You know, one of the things I love with turkey and dressing, and the gravy that we put on our turkey and our dressing. I mean, the turkey broth and the dressing, oh my God, I just makes my mouth water now, you know what I mean? But man, I'm a turkey guy, man. I love turkey and dressing, and I don't know how to cook any of it or make any of it, but I love to eat it up, man. It's so delicious. But that's my favorite part, the dressing and turkey. And what about you guys, man? That's a cool question. What about you guys?
Man, I love stuffing. That's my favorite, you know, when it comes to Thanksgiving. I got to have my stuffing. But I love turkey. I love ham, all of it. You know, give it to me. Put it all on my plate. Dominic, are you a turkey or are you a ham guy or both?
Oh, so we do make both usually for Thanksgiving every year. But the turkey has my heart. And now I'm curious too. I'll answer the question, but I want to hear your guys' answers too. I know there's always a regional spin or regional touch that everybody puts on their Thanksgiving meal, like here in the state of New Mexico. So if you're from New Mexico, you're listening along, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You have gravy and red chili as a side you could put on your mashed potatoes. So red chili is always a nice little staple with Thanksgiving meals in New Mexico. That's something I'm always looking forward to. Is there some sort of regional Texas spin or Oklahoma spin that you guys put on your Thanksgivings?
You know, for us, you know, my family, you know, has Southern roots, you know, in Tennessee and such. And so, like, I mean, you better believe there's just going to be a lot of butter. You know, I mean, lots of butter. I mean, we'll have mashed potatoes that we'll just put, you know, probably a couple sticks of butter in the mashed potatoes and don't need gravy, just put butter on it. So I would say that's probably, we go to our Southern roots. I mean, there's going to be more butter than I'll probably eat all year long. What about you, David?
Well, man, you're spot on, man. I like my mashed potatoes with a lot of butter on them, but man, you got turkey, dressing, mashed potatoes, and that chicken, that turkey broth, man, it's amazing, amazing. And mashed potatoes with the dressing and man, golly, guys, I just freaking love it, man. You know, we don't. Hey, I'm half my mom. You know, my mom's from Mexico. I love our hot sauce, but man, when it comes to Thanksgiving dinner for me, I don't want any hot sauce anywhere, man. I want my traditional turkey and dressing and turkey broth and mashed potatoes. And you know, I'm pretty simple guy that way, but there's no hot sauce for me on any of my Thanksgiving anything.
All right, here's our next question. This comes from Jennifer. Jennifer writes, David, what is the best fortune you've ever gotten from a fortune cookie?
Well, man, you know, I've had a lot of fortunes lately because Dominic gave me a whole complete plastic case of just a bunch of fortune cookies, and I love eating them, you know, and I try not get too wrapped up in what the fortune reads, you know what I mean? Because
that's my favorite part. I don't even like the cookies.
What's that?
That's my favorite part. I don't even like to eat the fortune cookies.
Dude, I love the cookie. I love the cookie part, you know what I mean? But man, it just seems like you know, I'm just all about how good those cookies taste, and they're crunchy but man, the fortunes, man, I don't know. I've had some great ones over the years, but hey, man, I've been blessed, you know what I mean, to have the life and to be able to do what we guys get to do week in and week out, and be involved in on the media side, the racing side. I mean, I'm had more handed, you know, I've done more than I deserve, you know, and I feel like the good Lord has blessed me. You know, I'm sure somewhere along the way there was a fortune that said, hey, you're going to live your dream. I've probably seen it, but man, I'm just, you know, it's been amazing, but I can't remember years and years back of opening up a fortune cookie and it said that it was going to turn out like it turned out. You know, I don't remember that, but anyway, it's great. I love my fortune cookies. I don't pay too much close attention to what the fortunes tell you in them.
I fortune said, live every day like it's your birthday. Or wait, that may have been a David Starr quote.
That sounds like a David Starr fortune cookie.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's how you live, man. You should live every day like it's Christmas and our birthday. You know, if we live that way, you don't have to look too far to your left or your right to understand how blessed we all are. You know what I mean? And
my favorite fortunes, in all honesty, are the ones that always tell me that something like something good is in your future, something's awaiting you. I'm like, all right, let's go, let's get at it. You know, nice.
bring it on. But the reality of it is, you're living in it right now, dude. I mean, having a job like you have and doing what we do, and man, I mean, we got, you know, we're I mean, all three of us are fortunate. You know what I mean? Absolutely. You know.
How about you, Dominic? Any fortunes come to mind?
Nothing comes to mind. I'm not really a superstitious person, and I'm like David, man. And I actually have some of those cookies over here too, Dave. Been snacking.
Hold on. Crack that open. Let's see what your fortune is.
You want me to crack it? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's do this live on the podcast. Dominic's gonna open a fortune cookie and read the fortune, no matter how embarrassing.
Ooh, here we go. This is a David Starr worthy fortune for 2022. You will win success in whatever you attempt. How about that for a fortune?
I like that, man. It just, hey, when it comes down to it, hey, man, it's just hard work and dedication and passion for what we do. And I think if you have all that, you're going to be successful, man. You don't need a fortune cookie to tell you that. I think we know that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So our podcast is going to get better, and racing is going to get better. And, you know, I just feel like, I just feel that energy, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of like you, Dominic. I'm not too superstitious on what fortune cookies tell me. I mean, I think it's up to us guys to go make things happen. And I think we've all done pretty well for ourselves, and we're going to keep working hard to make it even better.
I think so too. And I got to flip Jennifer's question on its head there, Tyler. What's the best fortune or the most memorable one you can remember getting from a cookie, since you don't eat them?
Oh, well, that's what I was saying, was the ones that always tell me something near is happening, something good in my future. That's what comes to mind. I've gotten that one a few times. Those are my personal favorites.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, though. They're so vaguely written, Tyler, they can be applied to anything, right?
I guess so. I guess you can make it that way.
Yeah.
Guys, always a lot of fun doing this show each and every week. And David, as we enter this Thanksgiving holiday, I'll add another question that wasn't submitted, but I'm sure it's on everybody's mind. What are you thankful for, David?
Man, I'm just so thankful and blessed for my mom and dad, my brothers and my sister, my kids, my wife. I'm just thankful for my family and my friends, man. I'm just thankful for everything, man. I mean, for the life we got, I'm thankful for knowing you guys and being able to have our podcast, and I'm thankful to be part of a sport, such an awesome sport. I mean, I'm just, man, I'm blessed more than I deserve, and I think, and the number one thing is just, I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful that I can still race, and I'm so passionate and love it like it was the first time I ever raced. But man, I'm just everything, man. I'm just thankful for everything, man. I'm thankful for the life I have and the wife I have and my kids and my family and my mom and dad and everybody's health. And I think if we all have our health, I hear people talk about, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. I want to have money. And I feel like if you have your health, if we're healthy, then we're filthy rich. You know what I mean? And people don't understand that, but I feel like if we have our health, we're healthy. That's, man, what else can we ask for, man? But I am thankful for the life I have, no doubt about it. What about you guys? Give it to me. Let me hear it, Dominic. Tell me what you're thankful for, buddy.
Man, I'm going to echo a lot of what you had to say, man. I'm very thankful for the life I have, the upbringing that I had. I always tell everybody that I grew up in a very privileged household. Not that we had a lot of money or wealth or anything like that, but the parents and the grandparents, my aunt and uncle, my brother, all of us just we're a very close, tight-knit family, and I'm very thankful for that. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday because we gather as a family. In our family, we gather a lot. We really do. But it's even more special this year. We're very blessed and thankful to still have the people we have around us. I'm thankful for my girlfriend Felice and her family. I'm thankful for all the people I've come into contact with, all my family, all my friends, my faith in God. There's just so much to be thankful for. And in a world and in a time when it's so easy to hone in on the negative and to be bitter and to just only focus on the bad, we need to take that step back. And that's what I love about Thanksgiving. It gives us that time to just, what are we thankful for, right? That's what you asked us, Tyler. And there's just so much, and there's so many people and so many things to be thankful for in 2021. And it's my faith, my family, my friends, and everything else that God has blessed me with. I'm very grateful and thankful for the life that I have. And gosh, it's an awesome life. How about you, Tyler?
Well, it's fitting, next week is going to mark 1 year since we started this show. And I had to say right off the top, I'm thankful for you guys and our listeners and everybody that's made this podcast possible. It's been a pleasure to bring this show each and every week. And we're going to dive more into that stuff next week. We'll save that for next week. But, I wake up every day and I'm thankful that I live a life that's better than I deserve. Every day, getting to work, a great job, blessed with an incredible family, great friends. I was reading this book by Malcolm Gladwell. I just finished it a couple days ago, called Outliers. And in life, we think of all these extraordinary people, right? And in actuality, there's no such thing as an extraordinary person. We're all just ordinary people. And with that, we all have different opportunities and different things that we're given. And life is about the opportunities you're given and what you do with it. We have this whole idea, this concept of the American dream and everybody getting there, charting their own path. But in reality, that's just not the case. What is actually true is that everywhere you go, it's because of help you got along the way and taking advantage of that. And, one thing leading to another, not only you having the belief and putting the work into it, but somebody else being there for you and doing what they can to help you get there. So that to me, it's humbling that where I'm going, where I'm headed, it's not all about me. It's not me at all. It's the work I put in because people that have been put in my path that have helped me along the way. So that's what drives me, motivates me. It's to work hard for those that have helped me out. I owe it to them to give 100% efforts and go as far as I can because the people that have invested in me all these years, I owe it to them to put my best foot forward. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Man, both of those beautiful, man. It's beautiful. I love hearing that, man. That's awesome.
Couple of housekeeping notes before we go. We've been doing some giveaways, some stuff that we've been promoting. The Connect Us phone giveaway. I want to congratulate Chrissy for being our winner on that front. So congrats to Chrissy. Be checking your inbox on Facebook. We'll be letting you know how to get that phone from Connect Us. And then the books from Brett Baer, To Rescue the Republic. Fantastic book. Got a couple of those that we need to give away. Jessica wins one. We also got one going down my list here for Zach. I got another for Marlene, and got one for Ronnie, and let's see, who's the other one here? Katie. So congrats to our winners there. You guys be checking your inbox on Facebook, giving those books away. David, that's been awesome. Our partners, we talk about Whataburger all the time, but Connect Us, doing that, working with them at Texas, and then Brett Baer, he's been so loyal, and his book To Rescue the Republic, still a #1 New York Times bestseller.
Man, what a great book. I'm reading that thing, and is when I have spare times, I pick up my book, my Brett Baer book. I mean, it's amazing, a great read, very educational. But man, just we'll have another podcast. We'll talk about all our different sponsors, but man, we're so thankful to have companies like Connect Us, Brett Baer, special report with Brett Baer, to have Brett Baer part of our team. God, to have Whataburger, all the sponsors we have, I just pinch myself because amazing partners, great people, and some cool giveaways. And congratulations to our winners. I hope they enjoy their gifts, what they've won. And pretty awesome, man. Pretty awesome giveaways, that's for sure.
That is for certain. Before we go on today's show, Dominic, tell us what's going on in your world the next couple of days, man.
Yeah, I'll be celebrating Thanksgiving with my mom and dad and brother, my grandma and grandpa, aunt, uncle, and my cousin Anthony in Grants on Thursday. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm actually up here in Santa Fe right now, so Felicia and I are going to celebrate a pre-Thanksgiving, her brother, her, and myself on Wednesday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll spend the weekend together. Yeah, it's going to be a nice next few days to just really spend that ample family time and just spending time with the people you love. It's going to be a lot of fun. How about you, Tyler?
I will be, I'm back in Oklahoma for the next few days, spending time with family and my dog too. My dog Gordon, who I don't know how many people know this. My dog Gordon, he's about over 15 years old. Corgi Hound mix, named him after my favorite NASCAR driver at the time, Jeff Gordon. David is of course my favorite driver now.
He's one of my favorite too, man.
Absolutely. So, Gordon, I think he's about blind and can hardly walk anymore, but he still gets around, and so. Just enjoying time with my family, my dog, and have a good Thanksgiving. So it'll be good, and looking forward to that before I head back to Omaha on Saturday. David, how about you? You're staying down there in Texas, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be in Dallas tomorrow. We'll finish up some projects I got going on around my house, and get ready to spend the Thanksgiving Day at my sister Melissa's house with my mom and dad, my brothers Johnny and Jimmy, and my wife and our kids, and just man, enjoy the Cowboy football game and all the NFL games on TV. Just enjoy that turkey dinner with dressing and mashed potatoes and gravy, and then I'm going to take my boys down to Houston. We're going to leave Dallas and head to Houston on Saturday morning. We're going to go down to the George R. Brown Convention Center in downtown Houston, and we can go to the Autorama. I've been going to the Autorama show ever since I was 4 or 5 years old. It's kind of a tradition that I've done ever since I was 4 and 5 years old. I don't think we missed. I don't know if I've ever missed an Autorama. Even though I don't live in Houston anymore, I still take my boys down there. And every Thanksgiving weekend, since I moved up to Dallas, we go back down to Houston, go visit some friends, some relatives, and we go to the Autorama show and check out all the hot rods. And the cool thing about it is DJ and my youngest one, Vance, man, they're like, Dad, when we're going to the car show, they love seeing all the hot rods and all the cool cars and the new wheels and tires and all the cool stuff. They're like, they can't wait to go to the car show. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a fun Thanksgiving weekend this weekend, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody that listens to our podcast. Hope your family are happy, healthy, and everybody's safe, and just everybody just has a lot of love with your family for this great weekend for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's for sure. We got to go. As always, make sure to subscribe to Let's Go Racing with David Starr. New episodes out each and every Wednesday on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, as well as YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review, or don't leave us one at all. Hit that like button, and we certainly would appreciate it. You can also find us on Twitter at Star Podcast, also on Facebook, David Starr Podcast, and by email, davidstarpodcast@gmail.com, a part of the Studio Soapbox Network with shows out each and every day. This show, as well as my show, The Jones Report, and the Coach Bo Knows podcast, Bevo Boys. Definitely want to check out all those shows, as well as Raw Tools with Luke Slabaugh on the Studio Soapbox Network. For Dominic Aragon, David Starr, and Tyler Jones, put the checkered flag out in this episode, and see you next week here on Let's Go Racing. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. So long.